Hello everyone. So today I'll be reviewing People Person by Candice Carty-Williams. So when I first heard about this book, I didn't quite know what to expect. I saw there were like five half siblings and I was like, I was thinking it was just all gonna be about like, family drama and things like that. And so when I started reading the book, I was like so shocked at the turn it took. And I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. And so I really, really, really enjoyed loving this book. There were so many places I was like laughing, I was quipping, I was like, oh my gosh, this character is a nuisance. And by the way, I listened to this on Audible, so I actually didn't read the book. And so before I go further into like what I love about this book, I'll read the synopsis so you can get a gist of what this book is about. If you could choose your family, you wouldn't choose the Penningtons. Dimple Pennington knows of her half siblings, but she doesn't really know them. Five people who don't have anything in common except for faint memories of being driven through Brixton in their dad's gold Jeep and some pretty complex abandonment issues. Dimple has bigger things to think about. She's 30 and her life isn't really going anywhere. An aspiring lifestyle influencer with a terrible and wayward boyfriend, Dimple's life has shrunk to the size of a phone screen. And despite a small but loyal following, she's never felt more alone in her life. That is, until a dramatic event brings her half siblings, Nikisha, Danny, Lizzie, and Prince, crashing back into her life. And when they are all forced to reconnect with Cyril Pennington, the absent father they never really knew, things get even more complicated. From an author with a flair for storytelling that appears effortlessly authentic, People Person is a vibrant and charming celebration of discovering family as an adult. So I really loved listening to this book on Audible. It was narrated by Danielle Vitalis and she brought the characters to life. She was using different accents and I just loved it so much. So if you've never listened to a book on Audible, I definitely recommend you should listen to this book because there's something about when you have a good narrator who just brings the story to life and you're able to do other things. So usually when I'm going on my morning walk, I'll just have it on, listening to it, and it just keeps me company. I'm like, oh my gosh, these characters are like going through crazy things. Anyway, as you can tell, I really enjoyed this book. And so I would talk about the characters to just give you like a gist about them. And so I think the main protagonist for this book is Dimple, who is, would I say, is she the third child? Yeah, the third child, I believe, from this man. This man was just reckless, um, dating women here and there, getting them pregnant, and just abandoning them all. Anyway, Dimple is like, I would say she's the most soft natured of them all. And the book in the present, she's 30 years old and she's like, a wannabe influencer. Oh my gosh, this girl. Or should I call her a woman? 30 years old, still doing the struggle influencer life, has nothing else going for herself, didn't go to uni or anything like that. She lives with her mom, she's the only child, and the mom is just like taking care of her, doing everything for her, cooking for her. She literally doesn't know how to boil rice, she doesn't know how to warm up patties in the oven. I'm just like, yeah, the character annoyed me a bit. But yeah, the story is like driven from her lens and like the events that happens between her and her boyfriend that sort of pulls the other siblings together. So that's Dimple. And then we have Nikisha. Nikisha is the firstborn of this man. She's like the one who pulls everyone together, gets things in order, makes the plan, makes shit happen, basically. That's Nikisha. Her mom is also Caribbean, I believe. And of all the mothers, I think her mother is the closest in personality to Cyril Pennington, in terms of like they are just airy fairy, free spirited, kumbaya personality. I don't give a damn. And so Nikisha had to raise her brother Prince. So Prince is the last born. So the man basically went to have relations with three other women and then came back to Nikisha's mom, and then she got pregnant again and had Prince. So Prince is the last born. So the second born is Danny. Danny is mixed. He has a white mom, and I think the white mom from the start she already understood this man is not going to be here for the long term. He's not here for the long haul. He's here for a short and good time. And I guess she wanted a child or something like that. So that's Danny. Danny's quite cool. He's quite self-conscious a bit, I think, but he's also like all about family and happy to be reconnecting with them. And then we have Lizzie. Lizzie, my namesake, she's of Nigerian heritage. So her mom is Nigerian, and yeah, she just has that. Candice did amazing with this character. She has that snacky um, Nigerian personality. Like, I know it all. I'm gonna be this. I'm gonna be like, if you know, you know. Naija know they carry last. So she has that personality of, yeah, I'm gonna be a doctor, and I don't know what you also all do with your life. I don't know why you've dragged me into this mess, and I'm just like, wow. She goes overboard sometimes, Lizzie, but she has to be reminded that no, this is your family at the end of the day, and she's just like, well, I didn't ask to be here. So her personality is quite interesting, but she still caves and she still like, helps her sister Dimple. And I don't want to say, I was gonna say, but I think some people don't like spoilers. There's something about Dimple and Lizzie which you find out in this book, which is wild. But yeah, so that's Lizzie. And then we have Prince. So Prince is like the baby child, the last born, the nuisance, an annoying one. Oh my gosh, that guy. No, I really love the character, but he's such a nuisance and just in his own world and doesn't care. Cares but doesn't give a damn as well. And then we have Cyril Pennington, the guy who created this whole drama. And he has his own storyline of, I think, lots of abandonment issues from being left back home by his mom. And there's so many other things. I think there's so many layers that could be dived into this man that wasn't in this book, but we get a glimpse of it, of why he is the way he is and why he just abandoned his children. And even as when they're grown as an adult, he doesn't care to be part of their lives, but he's always willing to use them. So that's sort of like the characters in this book, and of course the mothers as well. And something major happens, and Dimple needs the help of a sibling. She calls one sibling, but the one calls the others, and now they are all implicated in this scenario, and they're having to deal with it. So it's a really interesting book, and I think it really shows how, what they say, blood can be thicker than water, and how family comes together to, like, bound together to make sure everyone's right, to help one person during a difficult time. And this novel also really shows the interesting things about, like, how people could have similar situations but still turn out quite differently. And I think so similar situations in terms of the five house siblings all being abandoned by their father, who never really supported them or provided for them in any way. But of course, they all have different mothers, and I guess depending on their mothers' personalities and their mothers' drive and views on life and stuff, that obviously went on to affect them. But every other person seems to be quite strong and a bit assured in themselves, apart from Dimple. And I think that's the only thing I didn't quite like about this character. So, and I found this with Candice's previous work, and I don't know if it's intentional, where she explores this sort of characters that I call self sabotagers. So people who self sabotage, I'm just like, the world is so difficult. The world is so tough enough already. Why are you self sabotaging? Why? Stand up for yourself. Know what you believe in. And Dimple is she's just all over the place. She's just clueless. She's just gullible. She's just like, oh my gosh. And even at the end, anyway, let me don't go into that. But yeah, and it's not that I don't have sympathy or empathy for people who are a bit more on the, I don't know if I'll say the soft side. I think in life, in reality, I'm always quite patient with those sort of people and understanding circumstances and stuff that make them how they are. But in fiction, particularly, maybe that's because of the kind of person I am and the sort of characters I write. I love to write strong characters and complex characters who are like basically trying to do good for themselves despite their circumstances. And so when I meet these characters in fiction where they're self sabotagers and they're just all over the place, I'm just like, can we not have this in fiction? We as women suffer this in real life already. Can we have like a positive outlook in fiction? So anyway, that's my only gripe with this character. But apart from that, it's an amazing novel, really enjoyable. And it just shows that individual differences. I think that's the point I was trying to make. And so I studied psychology and sociology. And when we learn about theories and, how our childhood experiences go on to affect us as adults, there's always this caveat where there's always like individual differences. And I love that because whenever you're like arguing anything in like an essay, you always know, even if you forget any theory or you forget the years and all those things, if you did like human sciences, you know how you have to prove yourself. That's always one thing you can always say: individual differences. And Dimple just shows that because our other siblings are quite like strong in themselves and go for what they want, but she's totally different. And although they've gone through that same experience, she just turns to be a bit opposite from them, and that shows individual differences. So that was quite interesting to see in this book. And then another part in this book that was quite interesting to me and that sort of made me feel like, where is this book going to, was the part where Dimple's ex was in a hospital. So I'm not going to give a lot away, so no worries about spoilers. And something was going on. I was like, this is giving me Get Out vibes. So if you know the movie I'm talking about, Get Out, I was like, are these people trying to harvest this guy? What's going on here? It was really giving that vibes in terms of like the mystery and the shroud around this guy being in the hospital. But as the novel proceeded and things were revealed, I was like, okay. But I was like, this would have been really interesting if the writer went down that road. So yeah, that was really, 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 really interesting as it unraveled basically. So yes, I think I've said a lot about this book without giving too much away. If you're looking for another book to read, definitely grab People Person. It's amazing, fantastic. I definitely give it 5 stars. And what else can I say? It's an amazing book. Listen to it on Audible if you do have an account, because I really enjoyed listening to it on Audible. But that's it for this review. If you've enjoyed this review, then definitely check out my other reviews, and I'll see you next time. Happy reading!